Welcome to History in 10 Minutes. In the 1800s, Paris was dangerous, crowded, and unstable. By 1900, it had become the model city of the modern world. This transformation was not accidental. It was planned, and it came at a cost few cities were willing to pay. Paris did not collapse to become modern. It chose to rebuild itself, street by street, stone by stone. At the turn of the 20th century, Paris erased its past in order to design the future. This is the story of how a city reinvented itself and changed urban life forever. Before its transformation, Paris was a city on edge. Its streets were narrow, dark, and overcrowded. Buildings pressed inward, cutting off air and light even at midday. Disease moved quickly through tightly packed neighborhoods. Fire spread without warning, jumping from roof to roof. Unrest was a constant presence. Revolutions were not distant memories, but living threats. Barricades could rise overnight. Crowds gathered fast and disappeared just as quickly. Paris was vibrant and alive, filled with energy and emotion. But it was also unpredictable. To those in power, this instability was not a sign of life. It was a problem that had to be controlled. In the middle of the 19th century, Paris made a decision that would permanently change its identity. The city would not repair its problems slowly. It would remove them completely. Paris chose not to fix itself. It chose to erase itself. Entire neighborhoods were marked for destruction. Streets that had existed for centuries vanished. Homes were torn down. Families were forced to leave, often with little warning and no choice. What replaced them was something entirely new. Wide boulevards cut through the city in straight, deliberate lines. Light reached the ground where darkness had ruled for generations. Air began to circulate. Movement became predictable. Parks opened across Paris, offering space where none had existed before. Modern sewer systems were constructed beneath the streets. Clean water flowed reliably, replacing constant risk with stability. For the first time, Paris was not allowed to grow naturally. It was shaped intentionally. Every street had a purpose. Every opening served a function. This was not renovation. It was reinvention. The city became open, ordered, and readable. A place that could be observed, navigated, and managed. Paris transformed from a living maze into a designed system. A city no longer defined by chance, but by control. The new Paris was undeniably beautiful. But beauty was not its primary purpose. It was strategic. The wide boulevards were not designed only for elegance. They made barricades impossible to hold. Streets that once twisted and hid crowds were replaced by long, open lines. Troops could move quickly. Cavalry could advance without obstruction. Crowds had nowhere to disappear. The city itself became an instrument of authority. Architecture began to shape behavior. Open space discouraged secrecy. Visibility reduced resistance. Order replaced spontaneity. Paris was no longer a city that caught its rulers off guard. It no longer surprised them. It responded. power no longer relied solely on force. It was embedded into stone, streets, and distance. This was the birth of modern urban design, not driven by idealism or artistic vision, but by fear of disorder and loss of control. Paris demonstrated that cities could be shaped deliberately to influence how people moved, where they gathered, and how easily they could resist. Urban space became political space. From this moment forward, cities were no longer neutral environments. They were active systems, designed to manage populations as much as to serve them. Paris had shown the world that control did not always need walls or weapons. Sometimes it only required a well-planned street. Yet something unexpected followed. The same design meant to enforce control began to produce something else entirely. It created beauty. Wide sidewalks invited movement rather than fear. Cafes extended outward, placing tables directly into the flow of the city. People stopped rushing. They sat. They watched. They talked. Theaters and concert halls multiplied. Public squares filled with sound, conversation, and light. Life shifted outdoors into shared spaces designed to be experienced together. Paris became a city meant to be seen and lived in. Beauty was no longer added afterward, like decoration. It became functional. It shaped behavior just as effectively as control once had. People walked more, not because they had to, but because the city invited them to. They lingered instead of passing through. They encountered one another naturally, without planning. The city established a rhythm, a pace that encouraged connection, observation, and presence. Paris was no longer defined only by efficiency or order. It became desirable. And that combination changed everything. Urban design was no longer just about managing crowds. It was about shaping daily life, about influencing how people felt inside their city. Paris proved that structure did not have to suffocate life. Under the right conditions, it could elevate it. Beauty, once feared as unnecessary, had become one of the city's most powerful tools. By 1900, Paris had become the model others looked to. Cities across Europe and beyond studied its transformation closely. They copied its wide boulevards, public parks, and hidden systems beneath the streets. Paris proved that modern cities could be designed, not simply endured, but that success carried a cost. As the city grew more orderly and elegant, many of its poorest residents were pushed outward. Entire communities were displaced. Long histories were erased in the name of efficiency. What remained was beautiful, but selective. Paris functioned smoothly. It moved cleanly. It impressed the world. Yet it was less forgiving than before. The city no longer bent easily around those who did not fit its new structure. Paris worked, just not for everyone. And in that contradiction, it revealed a truth that would follow every modern city that copied it. Design can solve problems, but it also decides who belongs where. Paris showed the world what a planned city could become. It revealed how design could shape movement, behavior, and daily life itself. Streets were no longer just pathways. They were decisions made permanent. But Paris also exposed a truth that still follows modern cities today. Every beautiful order is built on a difficult choice. Every clean line conceals what had to be removed. What looks elegant on the surface often carries a hidden cost beneath it. London was forced to adapt when growth overwhelmed it. Paris chose to redesign before collapse arrived. That choice changed everything. From that moment on, cities around the world began asking the same question. Not whether they would change. Change was inevitable. But who those changes would serve. Would cities be shaped for control, for beauty, or for life itself? Would progress include everyone, or only those who fit the plan? Paris did not offer a perfect answer. But it made one thing clear. Once a city learns it can redesign itself, there is no returning to what it once was.